Hello, great ones. You are welcome back to Physique Fashion House channel. My name is Fola. We are glad to have you in our studio today again. Today, we will be learning how to make one trendy pleated wrist sleeve with flounce. So to make this sleeve, these are the materials we'll be needing. I already come with a basic sleeve pattern. For the basic sleeve parts, we'll be using this nets lace. For the flange, we'll be making use of this Ankara and this line. And we're making use of this horsehair, pelone, and this gum. So now the first thing I'll go ahead and do is to use this my basic sleeve pattern to cut out this net lace. If you want to know more how we come about this basic sleeve pattern, you can check our video on this. We are going to drop the link for that. So let me quickly cut out the sleeve. I've gone ahead to cut out the basic sleeve with our net lace. So the next thing we have to do now is to first of all take care of the wrist part of our sleeve. So we are having pleated stuff there with Ankara fabric. So to achieve that, what we do is for us to know where our this is our elbow. We have our elbow on 13 inches. So all we need to do is to measure the remaining parts from the elbow to the wrist. We are having 10 inches. So that 10 inches, we share it into two. We have 5 inches. So it is 5 inches length we need for that our pleated something. So on our sleeve, we get the wrist length. This is it. So from there, we share this into two, 5 inches. So on these 5 inches, we grab our ruler. Just go ahead and get a fish shape like something from this point. We can just leave half an inch here. We just connect from here. So having cut it off, this is what we'll be having. And while we are having this now, the next thing we are going to do is to, measure what, have opened the sleeve now. So we measure it this way. When you measure it this way, you are having like a 10 inches. So that 10 inches, you are going to multiply it by 3. If you multiply 10 inches by 3, it gives you 30. You can multiply it by 3 or by 2.5. So which means to pleat that your Ankara stuff now, you need the wideness depend on what you use to multiply it. If you use 3 inches to multiply, 3 to multiply your 10 inches, you're having 30 inches. So, and what we are having from here to the wrist is 5 inches. You just add 1 inch to that, making 6 inches. So you are going to cut out your Ankara fabric 6 inches by 30 inches. So that is what we are going to cut out now and plait before we now get this shape. So let me just go ahead and cut out the Ankara fabric of that length. Now, I've gone ahead to cut out my Ankara fabric, and I end up using 2.5 to multiply my 10 inches. And if you multiply 10 inches by 2.5, it gives you 25 inches. So, and that is 25 inches we are having here by 6. So it's 5 we measure here. The excess of adding 1 inch is for the joining allowance up here and down half an inch. So, and I went ahead to gum light paper stay on it to give it a strength a bit, and I cut out the lining. So the next thing I will go ahead and do now is to go and join the lining and the fabric together, I will join it together down here with a 1/4 of an inch. I turn it, I iron it very well. So after that, I'll show you the next line of action because we'll still make use of this very one that we cut out. I've gone ahead to join the lining and the fabric together down here, and I top stitch, then I stitch it down up here. So the next thing we want to do now is to pleat this Ankara fabric. We pleat it to give us 10 inches up here. That is the 10 inches we have initially. So I'll just use my office pin to secure it down this way. So after securing it down, I will go and stitch it. Then I iron the pleat very well. So I first of all get the center. I get the center of this 25 inches. So by the time we get to this midpoint, we need 10 inches. We should get 5 inches. So you can see. So I'll just continue like that to have my 10 inches. Now, I've gone ahead to, to stitch down that which we pleated. I've stitched it down. Then I've gone ahead to iron it very well. You can see I iron the pleat very well. When we measure it now, we are having that 10 inches we measure earlier. This is it, 10 inches. So the next thing we want to do now is to take this which we cut out here. We are going to place it on it. You can use pin to still hold your pleat down here. So because we are going to place this on it this way. So I will now pin it down. You can see that we are having half an inch by the side. The next thing we want to do now is to go and stitch down. We are going to stitch down here by the edge of this net. We are going to stitch it down this way. We stitch it down here. So thereafter, we now measure half an inch. We measure half an inch up here. Half an inch. You measure half an inch. You connect it. You do the same thing here. That is, it is on that half an inch you are going to cut it out after stitching it down. But follow this to stitch it down. That is what I will go and do now. Now, this is it. I've gone ahead to stitch it down. I mean the pleats. And note that I did not stitch on this net. So I just stitch by the edge of that net. Then I've gotten my half an inch seam allowance. I've gotten it down. Yeah. So the next thing I will do now is to just remove this net. So all I will do now is just to cut on this line. So you can see we are having our feel-like shape now. So the next thing we will just do now is to pin it. We pin it on this net. You can do it the whichever way you want. You can place the net on it. You can place it on the net, but for this project, I will put this on this. I'll put the Ankara fabric on the net. I will secure it down with pin. Then thereafter, after securing it down, I will stitch by the edge of this Ankara. I will stitch. Then I will now use my bias to cover it, to secure that raw edges. So that is what I will just go ahead and do now. We've gone ahead to stitch down our Ankara pleat, the pleat on the net lace. You can see with the half an inch. This is the back of it. So the next thing we will do now, before we place our bias on it, is to just trim it. we just trim this Ankara. You carefully trim it, so don't trim off your net lace, so that by the time you place your bias, it will not be too heavy. So I do the same thing to this side. This is it. So the next thing I will do now is just take my bias and place it this way. I will place my bias this way with this quarter of an inch. I will go and stitch it. After stitching it down here, I will now place it this way and stitch it up, just to secure these raw edges. So I will do the same thing to this side. So by the time I get to this side, I will ensure that I place my bias in such a way that it will secure these raw edges of bias by folding here this way. I will fold it. I will just fold it this way, placing it on it, and sew down with my quarter of an inch. Then by the time I turn it this way, everything will be covered. This is our sleeve. You can see how neat it looks. So the next thing we just go ahead and do is to join the side of our sleeve together with half an inch. We join it together here with half an inch. Then we join the armhole. We join the armhole part to the armhole of the bodice. So we'll be doing that. I will be doing that later. But then let's just go ahead to the flounce part of the video. And to achieve that, we'll be making use of this Ankara. I have here with me. I cut out 24 inches by 24 inches, 24 by 24, and I cut out my lining the same way. For this sleeve, you are good to use the same Ankara fabric for your lining. So it's just for the sake of this project, I'm using lining for it, but it's better if you use the same fabric. So the next thing we want to do now is to just draw the flounce part, and to achieve that, I'm going to place the lining and the fabric together. I will place the right side of the lining and the right side of the fabric together. So this is it. It's just like a square shape. 24 inches, 24 inches, 24 by the 4 side. This is the horsehair, the crinoline I'll be using is 3 inches. I'll be using 3 inches. So the first thing we have to do now is to get the midpoint of this. This is the midpoint. So on the midpoint, just come to the left and to the right with 2 inches. Do the same thing, 2 inches, 2 inches. So I will just connect these 2 inches together. So note that you are good to use a office pin to hold down your lining and the fabric so that it will not shift. Just use your office pin to secure it down, just this way, in order not to be shifting when you are drawing. Then the next thing I will do now is to get the length I want my flounce to be. I want my flounce to be 5 inches. So I just get my 5 inches this way. Then I connect it to this circle to give me something like 6. So from there, I begin to get my 5 inches. I will get it round. This is it. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out. I'm cutting both the fabric and the lining together. This is it. Now we have cut out our flange now, and the next thing we will just go ahead and do is to begin to attach the crinoline to it, just this way. I'll begin to attach it here with my office pin. I just want to, so you can just go ahead and pipe these raw edges with bias. So then you begin to attach it to your flounce, just this way, leaving just like quarter of an inch. Don't pull it. Now this is it. I've gone ahead to attach the crinoline to the flange, and I apply this hem gum to it. So the next thing is for me to turn it to the right side now and iron it very well. I will remove the pin. So when I was joining it, I joined it with just less than quarter of an inch. I join it very close to the edge of the crinoline, so you can see it. So that which we cut out, you can use it to make the two sleeves for the both hand. And if you like, you can use this for just one. Now this is it. I've gone ahead to iron the flange, so you can see how neat it is. And after ironing, you will automatically experience some kind of excess in your lining. So all you need to do is just to trim off the lining. I will trim off all those lining now. Then after trimming it off, you just go and overlock it. Go and overlock it. So after overlocking, we just come here just to attach it to this to the shoulder part of our bodice. So you can see the basic sleeve has already been attached to the bodice. This is it. So the next thing is to attach the flange to the shoulder. For this style, you are good to use any bodice of your choice. It could be off shoulder, it could be bustier, it could even be corset. So you are good to go with any bodice. Now we have gone ahead to join our flange together, the lining and the fabric, and we have trimmed the excess of the lining, and we have overlocked it. So the next thing we want to do now is to gather it together. So for that purpose, I've gone to run a stitch on it, so to draw the ruffle. So I will just gather it together this way. After gathering it together, we will now tack it to the shoulder of the bodice. So when you are gathering it, you have to be gentle with it so that the thread will not cut. Now this is it. I've gone ahead to gather it together. I've gathered the ruffle together. So the next thing for me is to just arrange this now. I will arrange it just the way I want it to be. You can play around with this. See. So that's why I told you it's always good to use the same material, the same fabric as the lining, and so that anyhow it is your Ankara fabric, you will still be seen. So I will go ahead to tack it to the shoulder of my, just this way. I will use a needle and thread to do this. Here we have the end result of our sleeve, both the flounce and the pleated part. You can see how beautiful it looks. It has been attached to the shoulder of the bodice. So beautiful. I hope you have really enjoyed this video. Ensure you subscribe to this channel. Drop your comments on the comment section. Share this, the link of this video with your friends and family. And if you have not subscribed, ensure you subscribe today. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.